The scariest kind of revenge isn't loud. It's healing so quietly they have no idea you've outgrown them until they can't reach you anymore. What if I told you their biggest fear wasn't you being angry or bitter or even moving on with someone else? No, their biggest fear is much colder than that. It's deeper. It's what keeps them awake at night, scrolling, watching, wondering. It's you healing without ever coming back. That's the nightmare they don't talk about. Because as long as you were broken, they were still winning. As long as you were chasing, they were still important. But the moment you go silent, not out of pain but out of peace, that's when the power flips. Before we go deep into this, take 2 seconds, hit that like button, subscribe, and drop the number 44 in the comments if you're ready to reclaim your power and vanish with grace. Trust me, this one will change how you look at everything. Stay with me. Hey folks, imagine this. You're a fire that once lit up their world. Warmth, passion, light. But they didn't respect it. They played with it, took it for granted, thought you'd keep burning forever. And then, one day, you didn't. You became the sun that no longer rose in their sky. Not because you were trying to punish them, but because you realized they were draining your flame. That's the kind of silence that scares them. Not the silence that waits, but the silence that walks. You see, they thought they broke you, but they didn't break you, they woke you. They thought your silence meant you're waiting, but now your silence means you're evolving. And that's what they can't handle. That's the twist. That's the joke they didn't see coming. Because they were so busy feeding their ego on your pain, they never thought the pain would set you free. Here's the lie they wanted you to believe, that you needed them to heal, to move on, to feel whole again. But my friends, healing doesn't need permission. Healing is a decision. It's when you stop refreshing their stories, when you stop decoding their posts, when you stop waiting for a text that will never be what you deserve. That's healing. That's power. And when you do it without clapping back, without sending that emotional essay, without trying to prove anything, that's when they panic. Why? Because they lose their grip. They lose the version of you that needed them. And let me say this clearly, people aren't scared of being blocked. They're scared of being forgotten. Because when you block someone, there's still emotion there. But when you go quiet and actually move forward with your life, that's when it hits different. That's when they feel the absence as a mirror, and in that mirror, they don't like what they see. And sometimes it's even a little funny, right? They post a picture trying to look unbothered, but you can feel the insecurity in their caption. They throw out bait, but it doesn't land. Because you're not fishing anymore. You've outgrown the pond. You're building oceans now. Let me break another lie while we're here. They weren't the closure you needed. You were. The moment you looked in the mirror and said, "This ends with me," you became the closure, the healing, and the revenge all at once. You don't need a text back. You don't need an apology. You need movement. You need evolution. And my friends, you're already doing it. Every day you don't check your phone. Every time you don't take the bait. Every time you choose peace over reaction. That's you reclaiming your life. So write this down below. I heal. I rise, I disappear. 4 words. That's your shield. Comment it. Say it out loud. Let it imprint in your nervous system. Press that like button. Subscribe if you feel this in your soul. And most importantly, stay with me, because what comes next will teach you exactly how to become untouchable. So silent, so steady, they won't even realize you were the storm. Until they're left in the wreckage of their own game. Number 1, they never feared you leaving. They feared you outgrowing them. They didn't panic when you walked away. They panicked when they realized you weren't coming back different. You were coming back unrecognizable. Let's be real. Most people don't fear abandonment. They fear replacement. They don't fear you walking away. They fear you walking away and never looking back. They fear that one day you'll wake up and finally see them for what they were, a detour, not a destination. and even more terrifying, that you'll realize they were never as powerful as your pain made them seem. Picture this: a gardener who refuses to water the tree. They ignore it, forget it, treat it like it'll just grow anyway. But then one day, the tree disappears. Not dead, not wilted, gone, planted somewhere else, thriving somewhere else. That's what outgrowing someone feels like to them. You were once rooted in their life. They assumed you'd stay, but you didn't just move. You evolved, quietly, strongly, unapologetically. And now they're standing there with an empty shovel and nothing to shade them. That's the shift they never expected. See, when you were broken, they were secure. You were the one doubting. You were the one texting. You were the one replaying everything in your head, wondering if it was your fault. But healing is a threat to anyone who only loved you when you needed them. So why do they fear it so much? Because your healing exposes the truth. They never had real power. They had access, temporary access, emotional access. And now that access is revoked. Now they can't reach you with a memory, a breadcrumb, a half-hearted text, because the version of you that answered that message doesn't live here anymore. And this is where the panic sets in. The questions start circling in their mind. What if they're really over me? Why haven't they checked my stories? Why does their silence feel heavier than their words ever did? What if I'm the one who lost something real, but it's too late? Because this isn't a tactic. This isn't manipulation. This is a funeral for the version of you that tolerated crumbs, that begged for closure, that stayed when they should have walked. That version is gone. And you didn't bury them out of bitterness. You buried them out of respect. Let me break this lie wide open. They never feared losing you. They feared losing the version of you who needed them, who made them feel wanted, important, irreplaceable. That's the addiction they fed. But healing is emotional sobriety. You finally saw through the illusion. The pedestal cracked, and what you thought was gold turns out it was glitter and glue. Now you're not reacting. You're not chasing. You're not asking why they changed. You're changing yourself. That, right there, is what burns them. Because as long as you were broken, there was hope you'd come back. But when you get better in silence, better in focus, you become a ghost with purpose. And that's the kind of ghost they can't ignore. You were never supposed to evolve. You were supposed to wait, to watch them move on, to feel jealous, to hover in their shadow, hoping for a moment of attention. But instead, you turned the light inward. You chose growth. And now, every time they look at their phone, they wonder if they still exist in your story. And let's talk about that fear, the real fear. The fear that you're actually happy, that your peace doesn't include them, that your new life isn't haunted by their memory, that you're not pretending to be okay, you are. That while they're trying to look unbothered online, you're building a future offline. That while they're still playing the same emotional games, you've left the playground altogether. It's hard, right? It's hard to walk away from a story you thought was yours. It's hard to accept that the love you gave wasn't enough to make them stay. It's hard to stop checking, stop wondering, stop hoping. But every time you resist the urge to go back, you reclaim a piece of yourself. Every time you choose silence over desperation, you win back your power. They thought you'd always be available, but you became rare, you became distant, and then you became untouchable. That's when the fear kicks in, not when you're mad, not when you're sad, but when you're indifferent, when you're peaceful, when you're unbothered. That's the moment they realize they lost something they'll never find again. My friends, understand this. Your healing isn't just about moving on. It's about moving up. It's about rising so high that going back isn't even an option. Because now you know the truth. You weren't too much. You were just with people who were too little. and now you're done shrinking. So let this sink in. They never feared your presence. They feared your absence with no explanation. They feared the mystery of your silence. They feared the confidence in your step, because now they know you're not bitter. You're just better, and that's irreversible. Write this in the comments right now. I outgrow. I outglow. I move on. Say it. Show it. Let the world around you feel it. Let them watch your silence shake the ground they thought they stood on. Stay with me, because what's coming next will show you exactly how to make peace your loudest statement and your most dangerous one. Number 1, you were the mirror, now you're the void. They didn't lose you when you left. They lost themselves when you stopped reflecting back the image they wanted to see. There was a time when just your reaction kept them breathing, when a single reply from you was enough to fuel their ego for days, when your pain was their proof they still had a grip, that they still mattered. Because as long as you were emotional, they were important. As long as you were responding, they were in control. But the moment you went still, you didn't just become distant, you became a void, and that is what they never prepared for. See, my friends, you used to be the mirror. Every time they disrespected you, every time they pulled away, every time they left your messages unread for days, you still showed up. You reflected back love, loyalty, presence, even when it hurt, even when it drained you, even when deep down you knew they didn't deserve it. And they got used to it. They got addicted to it. Your emotional availability became their reflection, their proof that they were lovable, worthy, powerful. But now, the mirror is gone. Now, they're looking at silence. Now, there's no reflection. And here's the part they didn't expect. The mirror wasn't them. It was you. It was your energy that made them feel special. It was your attention that made them feel seen. And without it, they don't know who they are anymore. They're left staring at a blank wall, haunted by their own emptiness. They never feared the breakup. They feared the break in their illusion. And when you stopped reacting, that illusion shattered. Because now they're not seeing themselves through your love. They're seeing themselves through your absence. And that kind of silence doesn't just sting, it exposes. It exposes every lie they told themselves, every game they played, every moment they thought you'd never walk. Why do you think they start posting more when you go quiet? Why do you think they suddenly show up in your story views, liking random posts, throwing out breadcrumbs? It's not love. It's a panic response. It's ego starvation. It's them screaming into the void, trying to get the mirror to come back. But it doesn't. Because now, you've become untouchable. Not because you're hiding, but because you've healed. That silence, that distance, it's not pettiness, it's protection. You're not withholding love. You're withdrawing your reflection. You're letting them face who they are without the comfort of your reaction. And let me tell you something. They don't like what they see. Because without your forgiveness, without your empathy, without your constant effort, they're just another person who took something rare and broke it. You were the mirror that made them feel beautiful, even when they were being ugly. Now all they have left is their own reflection, and it's cracked. You're no longer the backup plan. You're no longer the safety net. You're no longer the emotional mirror that keeps showing up, no matter how hard they push. You've become still, and in that stillness, you've become powerful. And I get it. It's hard. It's hard not to respond. It's hard not to check. It's hard not to explain why you're gone. But trust me on this. Your absence is doing more than your words ever could. Your silence is speaking in a language only their guilt understands. Because now, every moment without you feels like a sentence, a consequence, a mirror that no longer flatters but reflects. And that's what they really feared. Not you leaving, but you evolving beyond the need to reflect them. So stand firm. Let the void do its work. Let them sit with the silence they created. Let them face the emptiness that used to be filled with your presence. Because if they truly valued you, they wouldn't have needed to lose the mirror to see their flaws. But now, that's not your responsibility anymore. That's their burden to carry. Type it below and let the world know, I am no longer your mirror. That's your line in the sand. That's your shield. That's your freedom. Say it in the comments. Say it to yourself. And most of all, stay with me, because the next shift, it's where your silence becomes a storm. Number 2, healing quietly is the loudest thing you'll ever do. You don't need to announce your growth. Those who once underestimated you will hear it in the silence that replaced your pain. There's something almost divine about healing that doesn't need to scream, that doesn't need a stage, that doesn't beg to be noticed, the kind of healing that happens in shadows, in solitude, in silence. That's not just recovery, that's resurrection. And the truth, my friends, is this. That's what terrifies them the most. See, they expected a show, they expected a breakdown, they expected tears, reactions, paragraphs, maybe even a little revenge. Because in their mind, your love was loud, your pain was loud, your attachment was loud, so they assumed your healing would be loud too. But it wasn't. It was quiet, controlled, unapologetically still, and that silence, that's what started to echo in their head, louder than any message you ever sent. They didn't know what to do with it, because silence isn't passive. It's powerful. It doesn't chase. It doesn't explain. It doesn't perform. It just moves. It shifts. It levels up. And when someone has spent all their time reading your reactions like a book, silence is a missing page they can't handle. Imagine this. A storm that used to rage every time they pulled away. Lightning, thunder, waves of desperation, and then, one day, clear skies. No storm, no noise, no chase, just calm, still, focused. That's not indifference. That's transformation. That's you learning to breathe in peace instead of drowning in chaos. But let's not lie. It's hard. Because healing quietly means learning to be misunderstood. It means walking away without defending yourself. It means choosing your dignity over your desire to be seen as right. That's not weakness. That's strength in its purest form. That's when you stop healing for revenge and start healing for yourself. They're used to seeing healing as a highlight reel, a rebound, a flex, but your healing doesn't look like that. Yours looks like discipline, like muting their name without blocking it, like deleting the drafts you'll never send, like waking up one morning and not needing to check if they still care. That kind of healing doesn't trend, it transforms. And the irony? That's the healing they feel the most. Because now they can't feed off your updates. They can't read between your lines. They can't decode your captions. Because you're not posting pain, you're protecting peace. You're not proving a point. You're living your purpose, quietly, calmly, powerfully. And what really breaks them is the realization that the version of you they hurt isn't the one walking around anymore. That version cried, begged, hoped. This version walks into rooms differently. This version smiles without needing a reason. This version sees the red flags and doesn't justify them. He walks past them like they're invisible. That's growth, and they never saw it coming. They thought the pain would keep you tied to them, but now you've cut the cord. Not with anger, not with bitterness, but with clarity. And that clarity, it radiates. People can feel it in your presence, in your decisions, in the way you no longer explain your silence, because healed people don't shout, they glow. So let me tell you this, you don't owe anyone your breakdown. You don't owe them access to your healing process. You don't need to prove how far you've come. The results will speak. The stillness will speak. The peace you carry now will speak louder than any conversation you could have ever had. They'll wonder where you went. They'll wonder why it no longer affects you. They'll wonder if you ever cared. And that's not your concern, because while they're still stuck in a loop, trying to figure out how to keep you emotionally orbiting, you've already launched. You're in a different universe now, so drop this truth in the comments below. My silence is my strength. Let that be your anthem. Let that be the message they read between the lines of your life. Let that be the shield that reminds you, you didn't just walk away. You outgrew the noise. Stay with me, because the next piece of this journey, that's where you learn how to turn your peace into power and become the version of yourself no one can pull back into the storm. Number 3, you were the supply, now they're starving. They didn't love you, they fed off you. And now that the supply is gone, they're starving in the silence they created. Let's stop pretending they were ever looking for love. That's the first lie that needs to go. They weren't nurturing connection, they were siphoning control. You weren't in a relationship, you were in an emotional transaction where your pain was the currency and your attention was the prize. And the moment you cut off the supply, the games stopped being fun for them. My friends, you were never just someone they liked. You were a source of validation, of attention, of energy. They smiled at your texts, not because they cherished your heart, but because it reminded them they still had a grip. That when they ghosted you, pulled away or breadcrumbed, you'd still show up like clockwork. Your reactions were their reward. Your pain was their proof that they still mattered. And let's be real, there was a time when you played along, not because you were weak, but because you loved deeply. You thought they just needed more patience, more understanding, more of you. But every time you gave more, they took more and gave less. Until one day you woke up emotionally bankrupt, realizing you'd been investing in someone who only came around when they needed to withdraw. Now you've cut the cord. You stopped explaining yourself. You stopped checking in. You stopped trying to be the bigger person when all they ever did was shrink in the face of your loyalty. And here's what's happening now. They're starving, not for your love, for your energy, for the emotional hit they used to get from your chaos, your confusion, your attention. They miss the arguments, the late-night texts, the just checking in messages, not because they meant something, but because your reaction fed them. They didn't need your soul. They needed your sensitivity. They needed to feel that kind of control again. That's what people addicted to power do. They find emotionally open people, break them, then feed off the pieces. But not anymore. Because now you're grounded. You don't react. You don't panic when they post something cryptic. You don't spiral when they like someone else's photo. You see it for what it is, a weak attempt to get the old version of you to show up. And that version is dead. Because here's what they never expected. Your silence is not sadness. It's starvation, but not yours, theirs. They're starving now, and the absence of your energy, that's what's keeping them up at night. Not guilt, not love, not regret, just withdrawal. Because for the first time, they're alone with their own emptiness. They don't know how to handle it, so they'll test the line, watch your stories, like your posts, mention your name to mutual friends, just enough to see if the door is still cracked. But you don't open it, not because you're bitter, because you've rebuilt. And what you've built isn't up for negotiation. You were the lifeline they thought would always be there. And now, you've gone radio silent. And trust me, nothing screams louder than the energy that's no longer available. They feel it, not in their heart, in their ego, in the space you once filled, in the reactions they no longer get. And here's what I want you to remember. You didn't lose them. You lost the illusion. You lost the version of yourself that believed love had to hurt to be real. That confusion was a form of connection. That emotional games were normal. That's the version you buried. And from that burial, You rose. They thought they could breadcrumb forever. But now you've burned the trail, and they're lost in the forest of their own manipulation, with no map back to you. So say this out loud, and drop it in the comments so the world knows it too. I was the supply. Now I'm the source of my own peace. Let them starve. Let them miss the energy they took for granted. Because your power was never in the chase. It was in the silence after you stopped. And the next time they reach out, they'll find nothing but echoes, because the supply is closed. And what's coming next is the rise of a man they never imagined they'd lose forever. Stay with me. Number 4, you didn't heal to get them back. You healed to never need them again. The moment you stop healing for a reunion and start healing for resurrection is the moment they lose their grip forever. Let's make one thing brutally clear. Real healing isn't strategic. It's not a trick to win them back. It's not a bait to make them notice. It's not a subtle flex designed to catch their attention. No, real healing is raw, silent, and sacred. It's the decision to close the door, not to see if they'll knock, but because you're building a house where they no longer belong. You didn't go quiet to confuse them. You didn't cut the cord to make them chase. You healed because the version of you that needed their love so desperately was dying, slowly, and healing. Healing was CPR. You didn't save the relationship. You saved yourself. That's the difference between obsession and rebirth. Obsession waits at the door. Rebirth builds a new one and locks it from the inside. My friends, you have to understand, most people aren't afraid of being disliked. They're afraid of becoming unnecessary. And when you start healing for you, without making it a performance, without making it about them, that's when they realize they've become exactly that. Irrelevant. Not hated, not punished. Irrelevant. And that hits deeper than any argument. You see, people expect you to heal with one eye still watching the door, still checking their profile, still wondering, will they notice? But when your healing becomes internal, private, unbothered, that's when the air shifts. That's when they start wondering, wait, what if I'm not even in their head anymore? And that question, that's the beginning of their emotional unraveling, because it was never about you moving on. It was about you moving on without hesitation, without breadcrumbs, without announcements, without even looking over your shoulder. That's when they feel the gap. That's when they feel the silence isn't just a pause, it's a full stop. And let me tell you, healing isn't easy. It's brutal. It means facing the parts of you that settled, that begged, that thought crumbs were love, that waited by the phone, that hoped a message would fix what years of manipulation created. Healing is pulling the poison out of your own chest with shaking hands, but you still do it. Not because you want to prove a point, but because you finally see your worth as non-negotiable. They're going to notice. Of course they are. They'll feel the lack of access, the drop in energy, the absence of your obsession, and they'll try, subtle posts, random messages, just checking in. But this time, it hits different, because this time you're not healing with hope. You're healing with closure. Not from them, from yourself. You gave yourself the apology they never sent. You gave yourself the peace they never protected. You became the closure. And now? Now their energy doesn't excite you. It exhausts you. It feels like noise you've already outgrown. And that's how you know the healing is real. Not when you stop crying, but when you stop caring whether they see your tears at all. You didn't heal to circle back. You healed so you never have to walk in circles again. You healed so the next time you feel love, it doesn't come with confusion. So the next time someone shows interest, you don't mistake chaos for chemistry. So you can finally recognize peace without thinking something's missing. That's the gift you gave yourself, not the illusion of being chosen, but the reality of being free. So drop this in the comments right now. I heal for me, not for them. Let it echo. Let it be heard by your future self. Let it be the line you never cross again. Because your healing was never supposed to bring them back. It was always meant to bring you back. To the version of you that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't shrink. Stay with me, because what's coming next will remind you exactly why walking away wasn't weakness. It was the first step toward becoming untouchable. Number 5. They wanted you emotionally injured because that made you loyal. They didn't need you strong. They needed you broken enough to stay, but just whole enough to still function. Let's talk about a truth that stings. They were never afraid of your wounds. In fact, they relied on them. Because as long as you were hurting, you were loyal. As long as you were confused, you stayed. As long as you were emotionally limping, you never had the strength to walk away. That's not love, my friend. That's control wearing a nice smile. They didn't want to destroy you completely. No, that would have been too obvious. They wanted you wounded just enough, tired, drained, insecure, just enough to keep needing their attention like medicine, just enough to keep coming back, hoping this time they'd fix what they broke. That wasn't care. That was a strategy. And for a while, you played your part. Because when you're emotionally injured, your vision gets cloudy. You second-guess yourself. You over-apologize. You call it trying harder, when really you're negotiating with your self-worth. You think maybe if you're more patient, more understanding, more forgiving, they'll change. But deep down, they knew you were stuck in a loop. A loop where they pull back and you reach forward. A loop where they go cold and you blame yourself for the chill. And here's the sick part. They tested it, dropped subtle digs, gave you just enough to keep you hopeful, then pulled back again to keep you chasing. That wasn't chemistry. That was conditioning. Emotional damage became the leash, and every time you tried to get off the ride, they tightened the grip, not with affection, but with confusion, because clarity breaks chains, and confusion keeps you spinning. That's why they never wanted you healed. Healed people don't play emotional roulette. Healed people don't beg to be seen. Healed people set boundaries. And boundaries don't serve manipulators. Boundaries cut the game off at the root. But now you're waking up. Now you're seeing it. The pattern, the cycle, the way they fed your pain just enough to stay in control. And now you're pulling the plug, not in anger, but in awareness. And that awareness, that's what makes you dangerous. They wanted the version of you that flinched when they went silent, that overthought every post, that lost sleep over texts that never came. But now they're dealing with someone different, someone who sees the silence and doesn't hear rejection, just peace. Someone who reads between the lines and realizes the story isn't worth continuing. That's where their fear begins. Not in losing your body, but losing the version of you they could control. Because now you've taken your power back. Quietly, consistently, unapologetically. You're no longer emotionally injured. You're emotionally unavailable to anything that doesn't align with peace, growth, and purpose. And it's not because you hate them, it's because you love yourself more now. Enough to walk away when the energy feels manipulative. Enough to see their silence as a strategy, not a symptom of love. Enough to know that you were never asking for too much. You were just asking someone who had too little to give. Let that truth sink in. Because the moment you realize your emotional injury wasn't a weakness, it was a target, you start healing from a different place. You start building armor out of the very wounds they counted on to keep you weak. You stop bleeding for people who hand you the knife. And that's when your loyalty shifts, away from them and back to your mission. So type this in the comments right now. My healing broke the leash. Let them know. Let yourself know. You didn't change because of them. You changed because they never would. And now, your peace is non-negotiable. Your loyalty is earned, not manipulated. And your silence, that's not a pause, it's a boundary. Stay with me. What comes next will show you how to turn that boundary into your strongest armor and your most beautiful evolution. Number 6. You didn't heal to get them back. You healed to never need them again. The moment you stop healing for a reunion and start healing for resurrection is the moment they lose their grip forever. Let's make one thing brutally clear. Real healing isn't strategic. It's not a trick to win them back. It's not a bait to make them notice. It's not a subtle flex designed to catch their attention. No, real healing is raw, silent, and sacred. It's the decision to close the door, not to see if they'll knock, but because you're building a house where they no longer belong. You didn't go quiet to confuse them. You didn't cut the cord to make them chase. You healed because the version of you that needed their love so desperately was dying, slowly. And healing was CPR. You didn't save the relationship. You saved yourself. That's the difference between obsession and rebirth. Obsession waits at the door. Rebirth builds a new one and locks it from the inside. My friends, you have to understand, most people aren't afraid of being disliked. They're afraid of becoming unnecessary. And when you start healing for you, without making it a performance, without making it about them, that's when they realize they've become exactly that. Irrelevant, not hated, not punished, irrelevant. And that hits deeper than any argument. You see, people expect you to heal with one eye still watching the door, still checking their profile, still wondering, will they notice? But when your healing becomes internal, private, unbothered, that's when the air shifts. That's when they start wondering, wait, what if I'm not even in their head anymore? And that question, that's the beginning of their emotional unraveling. Because it was never about you moving on. It was about you moving on without hesitation, without breadcrumbs, without announcements, without even looking over your shoulder. That's when they feel the gap. That's when they feel the silence isn't just a pause, it's a full stop. And let me tell you, healing isn't easy. It's brutal. It means facing the parts of you that settled, that begged, that thought crumbs were love, that waited by the phone, that hoped a message would fix what years of manipulation created. Healing is pulling the poison out of your own chest with shaking hands, but you still do it. Not because you want to prove a point, but because you finally see your worth as non-negotiable. They're going to notice. Of course they are. They'll feel the lack of access, the drop in energy, the absence of your obsession, and they'll try, subtle posts, random messages, just checking in. But this time, it hits different, because this time you're not healing with hope. You're healing with closure, not from them, from yourself. You gave yourself the apology they never sent. You gave yourself the peace they never protected. You became the closure. And now their energy doesn't excite you. It exhausts you. It feels like noise you've already outgrown. And that's how you know the healing is real. Not when you stop crying, but when you stop caring whether they see your tears at all. You didn't heal to circle back. You healed so you never have to walk in circles again. You healed so the next time you feel love, it doesn't come with confusion. So the next time someone shows interest, you don't mistake chaos for chemistry. So you can finally recognize peace without thinking something's missing. That's the gift you gave yourself. Not the illusion of being chosen, but the reality of being free. So drop this in the comments right now. I heal for me, not for them. Let it echo. Let it be heard by your future self. Let it be the line you never cross again. Because your healing was never supposed to bring them back. It was always meant to bring you back, to the version of you that doesn't beg, doesn't chase, doesn't shrink. Stay with me, because what's coming next will remind you exactly why walking away wasn't weakness. It was the first step toward becoming untouchable. Number 7. You're not the same person anymore. And that's their worst nightmare. The scariest moment isn't when you leave, it's when they realize the version of you they controlled doesn't exist anymore. See, they were comfortable with the old you, the one who overthought everything, the one who waited by the phone, the one who twisted themselves into emotional knots just to keep the connection alive. That version was easy to handle, easy to predict, easy to manipulate. That version made them feel powerful. But here's the truth they never saw coming. You didn't just walk away, you evolved. And that's their nightmare. Because now they can't read you. They don't know what you're thinking. They don't know what you're feeling. They don't know if you even feel anything toward them anymore. And that unknown, that silence, that shift in energy, it terrifies them. Because when you were still emotionally tied, they could feel it. They could sense it in your reactions, your posts, your silence. It all screamed, "I still care." But now it's quiet. It's clean. It's surgical. You've detached, not out of spite, but out of clarity. And that kind of detachment, that's not a phase, that's a funeral. You're not sad. You're not angry. You're not waiting for closure. You're not rehearsing what you'd say if they called. You're just done, and not the fake kind of done where you still check in, hoping they'll come around. This is the kind of done that builds empires, the kind that doesn't look back, the kind that makes them realize they weren't the main character. They were just a plot device in your origin story. Think about it. They used to know exactly which buttons to push, which tone to use, which message would pull you back in. They used to feel like they had the manual to your emotions. And now that manual's burned, the buttons don't work, the tricks fall flat, because you're not just acting different, you are different. You've upgraded, you've evolved past the version of yourself that was addicted to chaos and called it passion, past the part of you that confused being needed with being loved, past the desperation that mistook attention for affection. You've peeled off the mask, you've reclaimed your identity. And that kind of transformation, it doesn't come with announcements, it comes with presence, with stillness, with strength they can't measure because you no longer give them access to your emotional temperature. And that's what rattles them, because now they're the one overthinking, they're the one wondering what happened, they're the one who can't sleep because you haven't reacted. And that role reversal, that hits them in places they didn't even know existed. They thought they knew you, but the person they knew wouldn't survive today's version of you. The person they manipulated, he doesn't exist anymore. The person who chased, buried. The person who explained, who begged, who apologized for having emotions, gone. In his place stands someone sharper, someone focused, someone unavailable to the games that once held him hostage. And now they're faced with a truth they can't unsee. They didn't lose you when you left. They lost you the moment you started loving yourself more than you feared losing them. You're not reacting to their story views. You're not decoding their cryptic captions. You're not wondering who they're with. Because that's not your world anymore. That's not your frequency. You're not vibrating in desperation. You're walking in direction, purpose, peace, and they can feel it like a void they can't fill. You don't need revenge. You don't need a moment of, look at me now. Your existence has already become the proof. And what's worse, for them, is you didn't do it to make them jealous. You did it because the old you would have never survived the life you're about to build. So drop this in the comments right now. That version of me no longer exists. Say it, claim it, let the world know, let them know. You're not cold, you're clear, you're not angry, you're aligned. And if they ever try to find the old you again, all they'll run into is a ghost, and the ghost will say nothing. And here's the truth, my friends. When you heal without needing to return, you don't just walk away. You rise above everything they once used to control you. Let them wait for a version of you that's never coming back. Like this video, subscribe, and share it with someone rising too.